Hello, I painted this, and I'm going to talk about it in way too much detail. These are all my characters from a story that I am working on, and my goal here is to explain the process and the meaning and, symbolism with enough context of who these characters are and, what it means to this piece. I'm not going to be focusing too much on the actual characters themselves, only the ways in which what their stories are relates to the actual piece. The full context of, every little thing will probably not mean very much to you, given that only 2 people know really anything about this story, and one of them is me. So hopefully I can still manage to make this understandable and interesting. But I would like to talk about my process. Hi, this is Editing Dexter. I did not talk about my process literally at all, so I'm gonna do that now, because I did not do that last night. I had a vague idea, sketched my concept, I played around with said concept until it felt solid enough to start making it. I sketched it with a pencil, painted my flat colors, and with Prismacolor pencils and the acrylic paints I used before, I went back in and I just defined it, my lighting, my shading, again and again and again until it was done. And now we're here. Thank you. Here's the full piece on screen now, because there's no way you're going to see it in this video. It's already cut off. I do want to focus mainly on goals and aspirations with this piece, because I made this piece to study and will attempt to learn quite a few things. My goals evolved as I worked on the piece, to say the least. To start off, these are characters from a story that I am working on called Forever Heaven, and none of them are people. This never happens in the story. It's all made up. I mean, the story itself is made up too, of course, but, they're furries in the actual canonical story. Save for Vulture, she's the same. She's still a horse. This is Bobby. She is a maned wolf. This is Sydney. He is a honey badger. This is Emily. She is a stoat. And this is Phyllis. She is a zebra. I did not want to work on furry anatomy with this piece. I wanted to work on specifically human anatomy, and so despite it being unfaithful to the story, I did want to draw their human counterparts here. I just also didn't want to practice lighting on fur. I had more than enough of my fair share drawing Vulture. Dear God. Anyways, Forever Heaven is a story following Emily after her mother passes away and she has this newfound commune life. Sydney, in a way, is kind of running the show, and by kind of, I mean he absolutely is, because he has ownership to all of the land that all of this is taking place on. He also has full control of what is going in and out, and he is also around a bunch of very vulnerable people. Emily, Phyllis, and Bobby being 3 of them. Phyllis has been there the longest, and Emily develops a sort of catastrophic situationship, I guess, would be a very quick way to summarize that. As she is on this commune, things fall apart, and, I wanted to reflect that with my materials. I used the same drawer of apple barrel paints that I have had since high school, a 4-pack of Halloween dollar store pencils that my brother gave me, Prismacolor pencils, and a lot of ribbon from probably Walmart or Ross or the Dollar Tree or something of that nature, as well as fabric from the same locations. And you might be thinking, these materials look like they're kind of held together by duct tape, and that is because they are held together by duct tape. I kind of see it as like a highbrow avant-garde choice. Some people might not get it, but I see it as a metaphor for Emily's life falling apart, crumbling into pieces before our eyes as the story unfolds. It's like a metaphor. It's symbolism. And honestly, this will probably fall apart as I'm filming, and I see that as kind of performance art in a way, so if this video is cut early by me getting crushed by my materials, then I died doing what I love. A big part of this project was to teach myself, to the best of my ability, to sit down and work on a piece and then stop and then come back to it, because I have a lot of trouble with knowing when to stop with my pieces. There are a lot of larger projects like this that I have wanted to finish and not had the willpower to sit down, tell myself to stop when I feel I need to stop, and then come back to it. And so with this piece, there were a lot of times I had external motivators forcing myself to put the brush down and walk away and do something else. But I think honestly, it was better for it, because there were a lot of times I was just so frustrated and not sure what direction to go in with this piece, and kind of just ready to give up on it entirely. And then I would step away for a couple of days and I would go, you know what, I've had some time to let it kind of simmer on the back burner, and I ended up kind of having a better feeling of what direction to go in when I would come back. And if not, I also wanted to try to find a way to just push through to the end without overexerting myself as well, and just being committed to finishing the piece. A big part of why I work on any mural is because I know it is going to be impermanent, that I know it will inevitably have to be painted over or covered up or left behind. And so every time that I do work on like a painting on a wall, I go into it with the knowledge that it will be destroyed one day, which can be said for a lot of art. It's not going to last forever, but going into this with the specific goal of it will be gone one day sooner than later, and I will probably witness it. I'll probably have to cover it up myself, honestly. I don't know. I think in a way it pushes me to utilize the piece to the best of its ability, like what I can learn from it, get as much as I can out of the piece while I'm working on it, and just kind of to make peace with the fact that it will be gone and it isn't permanent, because I have lost a lot of artwork both voluntarily and involuntarily, either from moving very frequently or it being damaged in one way or another, or just, you know, things get lost. So having the control of making the mural and knowing that I'm going to have to destroy it, I don't know, I enjoy it. I enjoy the process. I also wanted to use this as an exercise to make myself sit down and actually work on thumbnails, because I haven't had to use a thumbnail for a piece since I was in high school, and I just never choose to. I think I do greatly benefit from playing around with thumbnails, because obviously I don't know what it is. There's a stubbornness within me that really struggles to actually sit down and sketch it out, even though it takes like 2 seconds. And so what I began with on this piece was, I actually, before I even started working on it, I made a little concept book to force myself to actually sit down and sketch out my concepts before I work on them for larger projects like this. There is nothing on these pages. And so the first one in here, after I made the book, was the concept for this mural, which I will put on screen because there's absolutely no way that you can see it. This is bullshit. I played around with a few different poses. Like, going into it, I had a vague idea for what I wanted the movement to be like, because I knew immediately right away that movement was a massive part of what I wanted to practice in this piece, because I struggle so badly with just every character I draw being so entirely stiff. Zero articulation. They're kind of just there. I struggle a lot with visualizing space as well. Also visualizing lighting and kind of conjuring that lighting from my mind instead of only looking at references. While I did use reference images to sketch out the initial concept design, I did not want to use it for the lighting, or at least not rely on it. Put the reference down after a short amount of time and just sit and go, just think about where all these elements are coming from. Where is the light coming from? Where do I want it to come from? Initially, I really wanted to practice
tenebrism, chiaroscuro,
tenebrism. However, very clearly, I ended up not doing that. There is no extreme contrast really going on anywhere in this drawing, which is not how I pictured it going. But part of this also was to just go with my gut and to take chances with what I was working on and see how they paid off, or if they didn't, and being okay with it if they didn't pay off, and just doing it anyways. Even though I ended up not practicing more extreme lighting, I did end up getting what I wanted out of practicing lighting in general. I feel that this piece helped me understand lighting sources a lot better, and how I want to use those sources, and how I also want to play with that a little bit and, you know, make up light sources that are not necessarily in the photo. Not how that works. Not realistic to life, I suppose. Relevant to that was the time of day, because I wanted this to feel a bit liminal. I was torn on when exactly I wanted it to take place. I want it to feel like it's not exactly day or night or afternoon. The moon is out and it is dark, but the sky is greatly obscured. You can see them like it's stage lighting. You can see the field and you can see what's happening, but there are no streetlights or anything. I guess what I'm trying to say is I had fun making shit up and just doing it because I liked how it looked. I also struggle greatly with proportion as well as multiple characters in one scene. Anytime that I have to draw more than one character in a setting, I start to get a little bit scared. And so this was a way to force myself to overcome that in some way. I wanted to pack as much meaning in this piece as I could that related to the story that I'm trying to tell. I wanted a lot of that to play into the composition. And so there is this rainbow that Phyllis, Emily, and Sydney are all inside of, and Bobby is breaking out of. Vulture is already on the outside of it because Emily's relationship to Vulture is a bit like that Tumblr post that's like, amazing Phil, POV, you find a skittish horse in the woods and you are a farmer's daughter and you offer it an apple and you hesitantly, reluctantly, it becomes friends with you, something like that. That's what they have going on. To give basic context, whenever Sydney came into ownership of the property that they are on, there were a whole bunch of horses from the previous owners, and he didn't feel like it, and so he let them all go. Vulture is a horse that Emily finds much later after the fact. She is rolling up to the party very late. She is one of the last people to show up on site, and so these horses have been like gone for so long that it's like a myth. She feels like there's one out there though. There is, and she finds it. Don't worry about it. Emily and the horse have a close relationship. Her name is Vulture. Emily and Vulture have a close relationship. I wanted the rainbow to symbolize hope, while everyone else is still trapped in this little circle here. Bobby and Vulture are breaking out of it, and they still have this hope that is symbolized by the rainbow that they are crossing over into. It is already too late for Phyllis and Sydney, who in this depiction are deceased, and Emily is literally being consumed by flames, so, you know, it's kind of her time, maybe. I also wanted to work on just balancing color and composition in a scene. Like, I really wanted to guide the eyes here. I wanted to practice guiding the eyes. Finding a way to have it look a little bit busy, but still draw your eyes towards a focus. That is the goal, at least. And then as far as colors, I really wanted to practice just working with complementary colors a lot. The base colors for Vulture are this very dark blue, which I then painted on top with a very orange set of colors in the same value, because I wanted the itty bitty little bits of blue to show against the orange and kind of bring it out there. There's also just a lot of color combinations that I wanted to try and play around with and just see what I could do. I also haven't tried working with a mother color really ever, and so for this one I decided to mix all of my paint with Flamingo Coral, I think was the shade that I chose. It should be on screen here now. I wanted to try to really unite the painting, and then in parts of it that had, you know, less of that mother color, I wanted it to stand out. And I really did want to play with contrast with this piece. The main goals with this were to use my existing supplies, as always, and then to practice movement and form, proportion, balance, composition of a scene, lighting, and then visualizing space. Anatomy as well, because I struggle with a lot. And I just wanted to push myself to finish something in a way that was disciplined. I actually wanted to stick through with this one, and I'm very glad that I did. I'm glad that I gave myself the time that I needed to work on it, and although there were a lot of times along the way where I just had to go, I'm gonna have to accept how this looks and move on. I think that was still good for me. It was good for me to kind of know my limits and to know that maybe one day I will revisit this piece or even touch it up or redo it entirely. And these are my capabilities at the moment, and it was a good test to find my limits and to push my limits and try to learn. And I really do hope that I did learn from this piece. I think that I did. So I like to believe that I did. I am happy with it, all things considered. I also just really needed to learn to trust my gut a little more. This horse was so orange that it scared me, and the way that I ended up kind of fixing that was trying to balance it out with like more red, because there was way too much yellow here. I wanted to use that yellow to symbolize a kind of hopefulness, hope for the future, hope that there is still something more for these two at least. I wanted to evoke a feeling that it was too late for everybody else in that little circle. There were a lot of things that I decided to change as I was working on it that I just had to sit myself down and be like, it's okay that this is going to change. I also, I think, tend to work on a pretty small canvas, and I really miss having a large canvas to work on, and I wanted something on my walls. So that was really nice for this, because I couldn't tell you the last time that I worked on something where the torso was like the size of my hand. It was this actually. That was the last time. As far as why everything in this piece is the way that it is, I wanted some art on my wall, like I said, and my sweetie pie, my sweetie pop, Emily, she is always so grief-stricken and dealing with horrible things. Who would make her do such a thing? But she is just always kind of in misery, and I didn't want her just being miserable on my wall. She doesn't have anything to smile about, I don't think. And I wanted her to be happy. And so, what the best thing I could think of that would make her happy is, you know, doing a little dance. And so she's doing a little dance around the fire. She loves fire. Sydney does not like fire, but Emily doesn't really fuck with him, so, you know. Happy moment for her. Real quick detour. I tried so damn hard to get her eyes to look at the viewer, which is, I feel like, not normally a thing that I struggle with, but the paint kept chipping in a way, in a way where her eyes just kept pivoting back towards his face. And I just had to sit there and accept it, because it started to scare me, I'll be honest. And it just reached a point where I had to cave in and let her just look where she was going to look, because the paint kept falling off or covering everything, and I had to have the serenity and the wisdom to accept the things I could not change in that moment, because it was just not happening. I tried countless times to fix it. It was not going to work. So I just had to accept that, among many other things. I did not want either of their faces to be visible. In the sense of, how do I say this? I was trying to disrespect them. I want their faces hidden away in shame. Bobby and Emily's faces are visible on display and happy. They are both smiling, which is not something that they do often. And I wanted this to be a moment of victory and rejoicing for the both of them. While it is tragic in a way, because they are parting, there is still a great joy, a hope in knowing that Bobby and Vulture are able to move on from this. And while Emily is literally engulfed in flames, she is free of all of the bullshit that these two have caused her in life, as well as everybody else that has been around them. I wanted Phyllis to hide her face in shame, I wanted Sydney to be turned away in shame, and I wanted his wound specifically very on display. I wanted them all to be very naked and vulnerable in a literal sense, but also a metaphorical sense. And then Bobby is protected in this pink cloth to evoke this like soft, like innocence, playfulness, and hope, like this lightheartedness that she is able to hold on to. They all have flowers on them in one way or another. However, Bobby and Emily, their flower bracelets are just blowing up, disintegrating off of one another. They are being ripped apart by force. And while they are being ripped apart by force, it is still a call for celebration. Bobby is free of this place, and Emily is free of being alive. While they are letting go, there is a lot of joy in being able to finally let go for her. In order to move on, she has to kind of kill these parts of herself and the things around her. Even though Phyllis is dead and Emily is dying, they are still bound by these flower bracelets here. Sydney, while he is not connected to anyone by the arms, like by the wrist, he is, you know, pulling Phyllis around still, and he has let go of Bobby's hand here, and in its place there is this singular red poppy. But on Phyllis's arm, this is a little bracelet of apple blossoms. On their shared little bracelet here, Emily and Phyllis, there is apple blossoms as well as wild roses, with the Bobby and Emily little connection here. There are wild roses as well as red carnations. On Sydney's head, there is a crown of red poppies. I chose to put them on his head to kind of convey this king or ruler type of imagery. You know, it's a crown on his head. Emily, I wanted her to feel more like carefree. I decided to give her this little like flower necklace that has all of the flowers intertwined on it, because she is the connecting force of this group, I would say. The common thread is that they are all in misery, connected to Emily in a way. I wanted the least amount of yellow, like over here, away from Emily and Phyllis and Sydney, and on this side, because everything that is behind them has already been burnt. There is no hope left. Meanwhile, for Bobby and Vulture, they are breaking out of this, and there is still hope for them. Phyllis ran away from home as a teenager, and the Reverend Sydney offered her a place to stay, which was this land that he had come into. And over time, this kept happening with more and more people that he was helping out that were in need. Bobby was also one of these people. She was forced into staying here because she had, like many of the other residents, no alternative shelter. Also, Sydney directly caused her being fired, as he was having her steal things from her occupation for him, pressuring her into that and not giving her a choice to say no. They are all forced into living on this property by circumstance in one way or another, you know, no other choice. And so they are all brought together in that way. Since Emily makes a bunch of effigies and tableaus and murals and art herself, I wanted to kind of evoke the feeling of the materials that she would be using. It's not just a cope, I promise, but it is literally held up by duct tape, because, you know, Sydney is limiting what is coming in and out of this commune. He has full control of what is on here, and so her supplies can often be a bit limited, unconventional, because Sydney does control the flow of what is going in and out of this commune entirely. So everything is at his request or command. But she uses what she can, and I wanted to reflect that with the final set dressing of what was happening here. Hello, lightning round, because I forgot literally everything that I was supposed to say in this video, so now I wrote it down. I'm sorry guys, it's freeform rambling. I haven't uploaded a YouTube video before, it's my first time, I'm nervous. But I probably got close to some of these topics in the video, but I certainly did not explore them. So I'm gonna do that now. I am so sorry, this is probably going to be a little bit repetitive. There are two different fabrics. There are flowers on this side to represent growth and hope for life to continue. Meanwhile, everything on this side of them is already dead and will not return, so that one is just blank. That is a fancy way to say that I am poor, and I was not gonna go buy new fabric for this, so I made do with what I had. Everything is a metaphor, don't worry about it. Sydney cuts in between Bobby and Emily, as well as the rainbow, with his arm, because he is this disruptive force trying to hold them all back and crush their ability to look forward to anything beyond this mutual suffering, like day to day. He doesn't want them to have anything, and so he tries his best to just lodge in between that. I started this project on October 6, 2025, and I finished it January 7th, 2026. While I gave myself these external motivators to make me step away from the piece, I also had external motivators to continue working on it and to come back to it, such as recording my progress and knowing I was going to make this video. Seeing how it was changing with each progress shot and knowing that I was learning, it felt very good to push myself and to see the benefits of that and know that I would apply it to future art as well. To know that it was paying off even if it was frustrating and even if I did not like how it looked and I was not necessarily like satisfied at the moment, to know that I was like overall improving and doing better for it. Knowing that I was making a little bit of progress each day, even if it felt I went backwards, I knew that I was making progress because I was doing something. I was applying myself and seeing my weak spots, you know? Being able to see that helped a lot, as well as talking to other people about it as I worked on it. Part of wanting to work on movement was working with these dead bodies. I wanted them to have this stilted, like sluggish movement, as if they were being dragged around. Emily is posed still, like she's more alive and animated. And then Bobby is like fully alive and detached from this, and she is departing. Her eyes are closed to what's happening. She's also the most out of the loop on their interpersonal drama. She is the safest from it. I had a lot of fun working with not just my favorite color combos and like working on contrasting colors in a piece and complementary colors, but also just mixing up a color and distributing it in little pieces all throughout the painting to balance it out among the whole thing and make it feel a little more harmonized. really fun. I really liked having little bits of each color throughout the piece. Like I would mix up a certain red and I would just add little bits of red here and there until I was out of the color, or it felt balanced enough for the moment and I could just move on to the next thing. And, you know, because of color theory, it's going to look so much different based on what it is around, and I had a lot of fun playing with that and pushing the limitations. I literally don't know how I forgot to mention this, but one of my biggest goals with this was to practice Fumato. I am in love with that though. I am in love with that technique. I have been trying to get better at it since like literally I learned of it as a concept. That did not bode well for me here, I think, but I did still have fun trying to like blur things to the best of my ability and figure out these natural shadows and the way that things blend into their environment. And since it was such a big canvas, it did really allow for that. I did do a lot of like, oh, I'm gonna place this color next to this color so that from a distance it looks blended, kind of like pointillism, impressionism. Guys, I kind of missed out on public school. I apologize. I'm not a professional in any degree. So, with the flower bracelets here, they are still bound even in death. Even in this perfect fantasy where Phyllis and Sydney are dead, she cannot escape them. She is still ending her own life. And Bobby is safe but will never talk to her again. It doesn't help Emily because she cannot escape how she feels and how she is or where she is. And where she is was Phyllis and Sydney's home first. And even if she is alone, still she has herself to weigh her down. I struggled with midtones so much, and I ended up learning a lot about actually using them in this piece. I don't know why they scare me so bad. I don't know why it's so hard for me to do like transitional tones, but I had to. You know, this piece did force me to learn a lot about it, so hopefully that shows. Hopefully it was worth it. I did a lot of studies in between, like working on this to keep the ball rolling on what I was learning and then actually applying it, because I wanted this to be a project where I actually applied things and tried to work on those skills and get better at them. Another thing about their posing, Sydney is trying to drag Phyllis to avoid the flames and move her, even in death, and control her and tell her what to do, but it is already too late. That's all I got. Also, this absolutely has fallen apart while I'm working on it. It's all fucked. Okay, bye-bye. I ended up having an incredible amount of fun on this piece, and I feel like I learned a lot. And hopefully, I will make my next one soon. Not too soon, because I also need to learn to take a break. That was a very important part of this, was just going, okay, I gotta like go sit down, or like go on a walk, or like make some food or something, just like watch some TV. And just force myself to have fun for a little bit and then come back to the piece and work on it, because I did end up feeling better and more energized most times. So I don't know if any of that made sense. I really hope that it did. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.